Alright, so welcome along to a new video. I'm going to be talking about the Transformers Season 3, Episode 8, Dark Awakening. This episode was absolutely friggin' devastating for us as kids. Myself in particular, I found this episode hard work the first time I watched it. I was the kid that was the target audience for the Transformers whenever it first came out. And as we all know, the Transformers was essentially a toy advertisement for Hasbro, trying to sell toys and bring new lines in. And when they decided to bring the new line of toys in, they decided to kill off all the old characters. They did that. Transformers the movie, of course, they lost Optimus Prime and a whole load of the original characters, while others got reformatted into new Transformers. And Season 3 commenced. Now, when Season 3 was being made, if memory serves correctly, the movie was only kind of out when Season 3 was actually been animated, written and animated and all that sort of stuff. So whenever the movie was released, the most of Season 3 was already in the can, so to speak, including this episode. They hadn't essentially had the backlash properly back from devastated kids and angry parents worldwide. This show kind of broke the internet before the internet was the internet, sort of thing. If this had happened and the internet was there, it would have been crazy. But letter writing campaigns from angry parents and heartbroken kids, when Transformers the movie came out and Optimus Prime dies, yes, they had to eventually double back on their ideas and bring Optimus Prime back. But before they did that, they released this episode, Dark Awakening. I'm not going to go into the full major ins and outs of the episode, but it's a very, very simple process. We open up with the Autobots getting hunted down by the Decepticons. Optimus Prime, Ultra Magnus, RC and Cup is there along with Daniel and Spike. Galvatron has his ship and his minions hunting them down. They're about to take them out, and they do something similar to what they did in Transformers the movie and escape the Decepticons by letting the ship get destroyed. But instead of doing the emergency separation that they did in Transformers the movie, they have an escape pod. They get out. They come across the Autobot mausoleum floating in space, and Spike and Daniel's there. They're kind of the audience members on here, so the Autobots can give them information on our behalf, sort of thing. I need to stop hitting my microphone. This was built as a final resting place for the Autobots lost in the Great War, so they go in there to try and hide from the Decepticons. Daniel gets separated by just been nosy. He gets separated from the rest of the Autobots, and he goes and he's sort of checking out the tombs, so to speak, and you see familiar names on them like Ironhide, Prowl, all that sort of stuff. Hoffer is there as well. And yeah, as a kid, been devastated by Transformers the movie. This alone at the very beginning is enough to really, bad enough that they're going to the mausoleum, but now they're showing us the names of dead Autobots. He turns the light off by mistake at one point, and whenever he turns it back on, Optimus Prime is standing behind him, battle damaged and broken from the way he was in Transformers the movie. He screams, runs off, tells the Autobots this, and swears that he's seen Optimus Prime alive. So Rodimus goes to the tomb itself to open it. And he says that, if he was alive, the Matrix would have told me. So he needs to go and check, and he opens up the tomb. No Optimus Prime at this point. The Decepticons attack. Autobots are in the back heel again. getting their asses handed to them, but they're rescued at the last second by none other than Optimus Prime himself. This freaks Galvatron out, of course, thinking Prime's dead, so they retreat, and the Autobots are left with this mystery. Optimus is alive. What's going on? So Rodimus been the, let's just say, he's not my favourite Autobot leader. No, by no stretch of the imagination. It's Optimus Prime, nobody else, in my mind. And yes, he season 3 was very much the series where he was struggling in his role of Autobot leader because he felt he was always in the shadow of Optimus Prime, which he was. It's all fair and to the point. But yeah, so his first reaction seeing Optimus Prime's alive is to return the Matrix leadership to him. But of course, you have Cup there with probably millions of years of experience. Like, this isn't a good idea at this point. And Rodimus is like, well, you know what? He's maybe a little off, but you would be too if you were dead for years. And Cup's like, that's the point, Sonny. So they question Optimus, and he can't remember anything. It's just like, it was just darkness and cold, and then there was light, and Daniel, or maybe it was Spike, pipes up. Maybe he was in a coma, which is possible, but they discover that Prime has managed to build himself an escape shuttle out of the scraps on board the mausoleum. At this point, Rodimus is like, you still think he's unfit to lead us, and returns the Matrix to him. Prime is fighting this the whole time. He doesn't want to take the Matrix from him, but he does. Rodimus kind of forces it on him, and he puts it in. Optimus Prime puts it into his chest, but he struggles to do it. So at this point, he turns on the Autobots, fires on them, and then sets the mausoleum on a collision course with the sun, and escapes in the shuttle, leaving them to be doomed. And whenever he shoots them, he's thinking, what have I done, sort of the thing. But he goes through with all this, leaves them to their death, buggers off back to Cybertron. When he gets there, he tells the Autobots that the Quintessons killed Rodimus Prime, Ultra Magnus, and Cup and RC, and now he's going to take the Autobots on a revenge mission against the Quintessons, and takes the whole fleet with them. While that's happening, Rodimus Prime, the rest of them, have managed to build their own little escape shuttle to get out of there and head back to Cybertron. When they do arrive, the whole fleet is actually gone, and it's only a couple of the Dinobots that are there. They tell them what's going on. So now it's a race against time to try and stop Optimus Prime from attacking the Quintessons, because it's obvious now that it's a trap and he's part of it. On the flagship of the Autobots, Prime is in command, and they get a message from Rodimus Prime and everybody that they're safe. They want to join the attack. Prime doesn't listen to this, and he puts it down to a common Quintesson trick. And whenever they do actually catch up in the shuttle, he orders the shuttle destroyed. They manage to escape that attack, and get rescued by the Autobots. And we discover at this point that the Quintessons have this detonator, is what they call it in space. It's like their home base, let's just say. Like, the Prime has set the Autobots up to attack this like meteor kind of thing, and this is where the Quintessons are, but it's actually a giant explosive device and weapons everywhere to take out the full Autobot armada. And they just want Cybertron back at this point. You discover that's what's happening. Rodimus, well, when I say Rodimus, when he gives the Matrix to Optimus Prime, he reverted back to Hot Rod in this episode. So at the closing of this episode is the confrontation between Hot Rod and Optimus Prime. And after Transformers the movie, you're kind of wanting to see Optimus Prime beating the Seven Shades out of Hot Rod, because a lot of us blamed Hot Rod for the death of Optimus Prime in that movie, because he just, that's Prime's fight, stay away from it. He didn't. He got in there, distract them, he get killed for his troubles. Yeah, so it is what it is. They face off, and Hot Rod slash Rodimus Prime is trying to stop Optimus from carrying out these plans. They're trying to evacuate the ship at this point, so they're fighting against each other. It's obvious the further we go in this episode that Prime is actually fighting against this new programming, and you do get to see it in a flashback within the episode of the Quintessons gathered around the dead body of Optimus Prime, and they're talking about, this zombie version of Optimus Prime is going to be the weapon to destroy the Autobots. The only downside to their plan is there's going to be some lingering remnants of his personality in this new program. As the battle continues, and the fact that he now has the Matrix leadership in his chest, this helps him actually break the Quintesson programming. So he's been resurrected as a weapon at this point in the fight. Neither of them have the upper hand, really, at any point in this fight. But at one point, Prime loses part of his arm and kicks Hot Rod across the room and manages to get the gun in his face, and he's like, you should have ended me. And Hot Rod's like, believe me, I tried. Just as Prime is about to take a kill shot on him, the Matrix gives him a blast, breaks the programming, and right there and then Prime is back 100%. Fantastic. And he crouches down and he's like, these monsters turned me into a weapon to destroy the very ones I loved in life, but you're going to save them. And he puts the Matrix back into Hot Rod's chest compartment, bringing him back to Rodimus Prime again. The ship is evacuated. Rodimus Prime is helped to safety by Cup and Ultra Magnus and RC. Optimus Prime goes to the bridge of the flagship, orders the full retreat of whatever is left of the Autobot fleet, and he sets the ship on a collision course with this Quintesson detonator in deep space. So they turn the full force of their firepower on the ship, and as it's tearing through, you're seeing the Quintessons going, this thing's not stopping. Like, no Autobot could survive that. And we cut back over onto the bridge of the ship. Explosions going off. Prime loses the rest of his arm, and then the final explosion that we see actually rips half his face off. It is crap. It is shit. It is. I recently watched this. I watched this a few nights back in preparation for doing this video, and I'm 46 years old now. It affects me as much now as it did whenever I was a kid. Prime is a flippin' fantastic character. Optimus Prime, brilliant. Generation 1 Optimus Prime, fantastic. Some of the newer versions, like the show Transformers Prime, fairly close, but for me, I put my money on the Generation 1 Optimus Prime from seasons 1 and 2. And yeah, he does come back in season 3 later on, spoilers, but not for long. The show was sort of cancelled shortly after that. Hasbro did not get over the devastation of Transformers the movie. Even though it's got a cult following now, it did do a lot of damage back in the day. So yeah, end of the episode. Prime is on that bridge, getting blown to pieces, and his final words are, until all are one, and drives the ship right down the throat of this Quintesson detonator, destroying everything. And at that point we cut over to the escape shuttles. You've got RC, she's, her and Spike are comforting Daniel, who's broken into tears, and Rodimus Prime is like, I don't think I'll ever be the leader you were, but for sure I'm going to try. And then you see this nice little, as the ship flies over the camera, and you see the shot of deep space, this little painting of Optimus Prime comes up and a little sparkle on his shoulder. No damage, Prime as we remember him. Nice little image at the end of that episode. Now, when that went out, like I said at the beginning of this episode, devastated kids worldwide that was into this show. Transformers the movie was bad enough, but to bring Optimus Prime back as a zombie essentially in this episode, and then having been such a noble and strong character that he manages to break this zombie programming and bring himself back to who he was, just to sacrifice himself at the end of the episode, was absolutely devastating. So depending on the version of this episode, where you see it at, I have it on DVD, so I've got the original version of this episode. But at the end of season 3 of the Transformers, spoilers, they do bring Optimus Prime back in a two-parter called The Return of Optimus Prime. Prior to releasing those 2 episodes, they re-released this episode with a new ending. It's essentially the same episode altogether, but at the very end there's a voiceover saying Optimus Prime's going to return. Don't be worrying about it. This was a shite episode, but we're sorry. We apologise. They didn't say all that, but it was more or less, don't worry kids, Optimus Prime's coming back. So yeah, tail between the legs, re-releasing an episode with a tagged on ending to say this is not the end of this character. Yeah, brilliant episode as far as the whole storytelling thing goes here. It's looking at it from adult eyes, it's actually a very, very good, well written episode, but it was a kid show. At the end of the day, we just were not ready for this. And I was so excited when I originally, I don't even know if I still have the do I? Holy crap. Give me a second. I'm not even going to cut this part of the video out. Just give me 1 second. Bear with me. I can't believe I've got this. This is how old I am, kids. I still have VHS video cassettes, and as you can see, Transformers, 2 episodes on there. We've got Grimlock's New Brain, Dark Awakening, right here. So I can recall this episode. Okay, this is how shocking it was. I'm going to put this on screen. You can pause the video and read the little synopsis for that episode, Dark Awakening. But I'll read it out to you if you can't be bored doing that. Dark Awakening. Optimus Prime returns from the grave to lead the Autobots once more, and Rodimus Prime couldn't be happier. Unfortunately, this isn't the Optimus Prime we once knew. His inert robot form has been reprogrammed by the Quintessons to lead the Autobots into a deadly final ambush. Now, me as a kid, whenever I got this, I came home. I was like so excited. We were in Scotland for a holiday. Well, a weekend trip. We shot across, I think it was Scotland this video came from. But I do remember seeing it. And, as you're a small kid, you're just kind of like, oh look, Optimus Prime returns to lead the Autobots once more. Daddy, can I get this video? And he's like, of course you can, son. You like the Transformers. He was raging whenever the Transformers the movie came out and they killed Optimus Prime off. And poor little heartbroken Rodney was all devastated and whatnot. And it wasn't even the actual movie itself. It was those old videos, or those old audio cassette tapes you could get that had the little read-along book with it. that was my first introduction to Transformers the movie. Got that there. Back of the car, listening to it in my dad's radio. Boo hoo hoo. Off he went, and he was absolutely bouncing. So the fact that there's a new episode coming out on VHS where the characters they're bringing him back was like, yeah, of course you can get that there. If they're bringing him back, what's the worst that can happen? And as I just said in the little review of the episode, the absolute flipping worst did happen, and my father was raging one more time. But yes, devastating, heartbreaking little episode. But yeah, it is what it is. Hasbro really didn't know what they had on their hands with the Transformers at the point these episodes came out, and you know, if they did get the feedback before this was made, they might not have released this episode. They might have just like, no, here, we're in enough trouble for Transformers the movie, we're not doing Dark Awakening. But the overlap, whenever this was created, those episodes were essentially going out to TV, like Transformers the movie was in the cinema. Then these here come out very swiftly onto television. So yeah, they kind of got too far ahead of themselves, paid the price in a big way. But having said all that, they do tend to, in new versions of the Transformers, whether it be Beast Wars or any of the rest of them, at some point even the live action Transformers, at some point they kill Optimus Prime just to bring him back again. So it is what it is. They started something crap in the 80s, and they're still doing it to this goddamn day. Right, that's going to do it for this video. Very, very long video, like 21, nearly 22 minutes at this point. You'd be better off just watching the actual episode and not listening to me at all. That's going to do it to the next review, guys. Stay safe. I'll talk to you all then.